talk about more ugly and the ultimate ugly of sports this week. Before we talk about Miami real quickly, I think the Cubs should get rid of Carlos Zambrano. I mean, sometimes, talent is one thing, but when you've been a disruptive influence on a team for multiple years, you need to go. They fired their general manager this year, today. He's been there for 17 years. I mean, he was fired, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and I guess it just was official today. But Mr. Zambrano needs to change the scenery, and hopefully the Cubs will give it to him. We'll talk about that another time. That just popped into my head. But let's just dig on Miami because Miami, you know, we've all seen the ESPN special about the U, and excuse me, they show this, party atmosphere and this whole culture of sort of excess and, you know, just kids just having fun and, you know, players being around the program or people being around the program who were not looking out for the players' best interests and so on and so forth. And Miami got in trouble for it back in the 80s. And they're about to get in trouble for it again here in the 21st century. When you hear the phrase, I bought 72 prostitutes for players, when you hear the phrase of money being given, when you hear phrases like, the people, taking all kinds of benefits from one person who's been arrested for a Ponzi scheme, who's doing 20 years, ain't got nothing to lose, and that person's affiliated with your program with coaches saying they don't know who he is, players saying they don't know who he is, and they got pictures with him, you in some trouble. And we're not talking about no little trouble. We're talking death penalty trouble. ESPN showed two unbelievable documentaries. One was about SMU, and SMU got hit with the death penalty. And it was talking about the excesses of that situation where players were getting like, shoe boxes full of thousands of dollars just to sign at SMU. This Miami story is absolutely nuts. And this guy supposedly has pictures. He supposedly has bank records. He supposedly has credit card records. He supposedly has a whole bunch of other stuff. And again, it goes back to the beginning statement of this ugly section. What can you do to stop that? I mean, can you imagine some guy rolls up on you on campus and he's in a brand new fancy car and he says, hey, you want this? You want to drive this car? Hop on in. You scored 3 touchdowns last week. Okay. And you go. Oh, by the way, I got somebody in the back seat for you. You know? I mean, I'm not saying it's as simple as that, but, being a football player at that university is a big deal because Miami football players go to the NFL. They go in the first round. That school is in absolute hell. That program is going to be done for a bunch of years to come. And it's funny because I remember Steve Spurrier many years ago called Florida State Free Shoes University. I wonder what he would call Miami right now. I mean, what they've done and what they're being accused of, and for this to be happening to affect players that even playing today. Can you imagine being Al Golden, the new coach? You come in, you get the job of your life. You've been coaching at Temple University. You get to go to the U, Miami, the biggest program of the 80s, some of the best players of the 90s, and even into the 21st century. And you got to answer questions about things that got nothing to do with you. And you might get put on the death penalty. Meaning you can't even be on TV, you can't recruit, you lose tons of scholarships. This is a job of a lifetime. And I think this is the NCAA's, one thing they've wanted to do throughout this whole summer. For the past 2 years, they've had USC, they've had Ohio State, West Virginia, Michigan, Connecticut in basketball. They've had North Carolina football. They've had Georgia Tech in trouble for basketball. They've got everything. And they have not been able to put the hammer on anybody. Well, they're about to put the hammer on the U. Miami players, every time on football games, Michael Irvin, the U. Jeremy Shockey, the U. They also proud. Willis McGahee, the U. Ed Reed, the U. Ray Lewis, the U. Are you proud now? They're going to get the death penalty, folks. Play by the rules, or you're finished. And unfortunately, again, another situation where the players involved, yes, some of them might be still playing there now, but the bulk of this investigation is about stuff that happened in the early 2000s, and it's just sort of carried on. Coaches can't control everything, folks. Athletic directors can't control everything. There's a lot of kids on the team. Think about that as your kids get older and want to play sports. I want to thank you all for listening to my show. Big shout out to my family around this country and to Miss Janice Sarah Harris. I miss you and I love you. Peace.